It could be legal in up to 30 states soon, but supporters of traditional marriage say they'll keep fighting.
You know what would be absolutely lovely is if someone who's a proponent of so-called traditional marriage could explain why they think it needs defending. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. And as you may or may not know, the Supreme Court of the United States declined to hear several cases brought by states against gay marriage. What this is, basically, is a non-decision decision. The Supreme Court has decided not to be for or against gay marriage, but in doing so, they've paved the way for those states that are objecting to it to have gay marriage regardless. But in all of these years of arguing over gay marriage and homosexuality, what I have never heard from anybody is a reason to be against it that isn't either bigotry or an attempt to cover up bigotry.
Pat, what do you think?
State after state after state, the voters overwhelmingly voted to protect traditional marriage.
This is one I have never understood, because if gays are allowed to marry, what exactly is going to happen to so-called traditional marriage? I mean, what? If gays can get married, are straight people no longer going to fall in love? No longer going to get married? Are they not going to have the 2.3 kids and the dog and the car in the garage with the house with the white picket fence? What? Them faggots is getting hitched? Well, I guess that's the end of our marriage. Hey kids, you're single for the rest of your lives. And if that's not the rationale, then what exactly needs protecting? I have heard some people say that they don't mind gays having civil unions, but not marriage. You're allowed to have the state version of marriage, but you don't get to call it marriage. So what? Is it all about semantics now?
Marriage, particularly, is a sacrament of the church. And the fact that they have civil ceremonies and civil clerks that sign licenses, it's not the same thing.
But even if all of this is true, even if they mean every last scrap of it, how isn't it bigotry? How is any of this not a flimsy pretext for saying that gays aren't allowed in your clubhouse? So if you genuinely think that this is not prejudice, that it isn't discrimination, show me how. Convince me. Show me how this isn't just a flimsy cover-up for homophobic bigotry. But if you can't, or won't, try to understand that my opinion of you, that the opinions of lots of people around the world, will not be particularly flattering ones.
And the homosexuals want to have the imprimatur of the church on their lifestyle. That's what this is all about. They don't want to have anybody say what they're doing is sinful.
Telling other people why they're doing what they're doing?
Back to peddling.
Instead of letting the people decide, as they should have under the Constitution, it was taken out of their hands by a Supreme Court decision.
Frankly, the people should not be deciding, because the law is not there to prop up your worldview. The law is there to protect people. So unless you can show how gay marriage is going to cause measurable harm to your life, to your body, or to your property, it really isn't something that the people should be deciding, because if the majority decides that the minority should not have equal rights, that's not American. I seem to remember a little something about liberty and justice for all, not liberty and justice for a bunch of jerk jobs who think that everyone else is inferior and needs to be kept in their place. James Madison very specifically said that the First Amendment to the Constitution, that the entire Bill of Rights was there to make sure that the majority could not run roughshod over the minority. And it's not as if this isn't the first time the United States has had to deal with the marriage issue. Interracial marriage was a big one back in 1967. In the case of Loving versus Virginia, Chief Justice Earl Warren said that marriage is one of the basic rights of man, fundamental to our very existence and survival. Under our Constitution, the freedom to marry or not marry a person of another race with the individual cannot be infringed by the state. And don't think for even a moment that Loving versus Virginia was not used as a precedent in the states that have already legalized gay marriage. So I ask you once again, convince me, show me that being against homosexual marriage isn't bigotry or prejudice, because clearly blocking interracial marriage was rooted in racism. So how is blocking gay marriage not rooted in homophobia? Convince me, if you can.
And because of that, no effort by the people has been successful ever since. And it's been a tragedy.
Tragedy.
You know, people that are against gay marriage, if they just openly said, I'm against gay marriage because thinking about two men having butt sex or two women having scissor sex kills my boner, dries up my vagina, I can't have sex, it ruins my life, that's why I'm against it. That would be a valid argument. We'd have to actually debate you on that. But these lunatics always go, well, because it says in the Bible. Okay, stop, hang on. I'm glad you like a book. But just because you like something in a book doesn't mean you can have the thing you like in the book happen in real life. That's what crazy people want.
Honestly, could not have said it better myself. Can you show me a measurable negative impact that allowing gay marriage will actually have on your life? And I mean aside from having to grind your teeth knowing that there are people out there doing things that make you feel all icky. Because if you can't, once again I have to ask you, how is your objection to gay marriage not prejudice or bigotry? Even if it's mandated by your God, you're still being against people for being who they are, when they're not actually causing any harm to anybody. Or, if they are, they're not causing it to anybody who would be objecting to it. And until you can give me those reasons, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please, think.